Hi, everyone. This is Annalisa with Inside Real Estate, and I wanted to welcome you to our kvCORE centric webinar today. And we're going to be covering the kvCORE Smart Campaigns, templates and triggers and tasks. Oh my, right? So we're going to cover the basics, and then Ryan is here as well. And what are you going to speak to, Ryan, to help round this out?
Well, I figured you'll do the kind of basics, how everything works, and then I'll get into some of the hairier stuff, webhooks, and some other things, advanced uses of this feature. So
the oh my part.
The oh my part.
That'll be the oh my part. And for everyone, we do record this session, and I actually dropped the link to the document inside the little chat box and send it to everyone. And we'll also be sending this out via email, chat portal, discussion groups, YouTube. There's many, many ways of which to revisit this information.
Can I throw something in?
Yeah.
If you're watching this on YouTube right now on the replay, just subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So when you go to YouTube, we've got our channel here, and of course our little stinger will start playing here, so I'm going to mute that. But when you go, you can actually subscribe to watch this. So
and future episodes, you'll be notified. So next to your kids' Fortnite videos, you'll have your own stuff too.
Right. Good eye on that one. All right. So what I have in front of us is just speaking to smart campaigns, templates, statuses, hashtags, and how they really all mesh together, and how you as users can leverage all of these different components to trigger different types of automated communication. Now, within your dashboard, you have the marketing autopilot, and that's where all of your smart campaigns live. And it may help to think of your smart campaigns as like an umbrella that sits over the different template sections that are going to trigger the different types of communications that can trigger within that smart campaign. So those are like the different moving parts. And all of those can be any combination of email, text, a prompt for you to call and leave a message, a prompt for you to call and don't leave a message. You can also trigger these templates to do more than one action on the same day within that same smart campaign.
And don't forget webhooks.
Yes, webhooks, and that's going to be, yes, let me get that in there.
I'll put that in. I'll put it on the doc.
Thank you, sir. And the neat thing is you can trigger these whether it's a status of contact, when they land on your dashboard, maybe when you get that hashtag attached. There it is. Now I know what you talk about when I type while you're talking. And then you can also, are we missing something? No, there it is. And also when you move one contact to another status. So what I'm going to show you today is an example of a seller drip campaign to kind of get you in your head to wrap around what you can put together in the system, little sweat equity on your end, so everything just triggers smoothly going forward. Now, if you have questions while we're speaking, please go ahead and use that GoToWebinar chat box and we will respond accordingly. So when we're looking at these smart campaigns, there's a lot of things to consider when you're building these out. So it's always good to maybe get a piece of paper, write it down. What is my audience? What's my goal for this particular communication? What is, the different types of contact statuses? How do I want to leverage these contact statuses per stop down that transaction line from new lead to active to client to closed, and then maybe they go from closed to client again because you're going to sell them a new home, maybe they're downsizing, upsizing, what have you. So we can actually, visualize these customizing a smart campaign. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this doc here, and when you look at this, you can actually click on this link to view a video. And then I also have an article to smart campaigns. And there is a seller drip campaign that another user had created and shared with everyone as an example. And this just speaks to how you can maybe look at a smart campaign and visualize the path of communication and what you may want to communicate to that audience. So within smart campaigns, you have the ability to trigger, that initial day one email, and you can also trigger a text. Now, when we go over to our dashboard and locate our smart campaigns, we're going to go down this left-hand side of our dash, And if you just have your icons here on the left, you can click these little 3 bars here at the top left and expand this out. But basically your marketing autopilot is this little paper airplane icon. And we're going to look at the components of these smart campaigns. So you can get an idea of how you can create the templates that land inside and then kind of sync them all together. Am I missing anything so far, Ryan?
No, you're doing good. Yeah, let's look at those templates. And I just want to point out the system campaigns too, and kind of how to
Yes.
get those into the system, into your.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so as Ryan is speaking to, we have this kvCORE library, and we actually have 22 system campaigns of which we have created and tested and provided to you folks to utilize. And for you to use these and view them, you can actually click this little down arrow here across to the right. And within, you'll see the brand new open house smart campaign, the conversion defaults for seller and buyer, the seller prospect expired, sphere, prospect renter, and so forth. And all of these are available for any of you to clone and add to your own library. So we give you the ability to go over here to the right and click add to my library. And it immediately took the open house smart campaign here and pulled it into my own library. So now I have my own copy and I can say, all right, well, when something lands, for Lisa to come in via the open house app and it's new and it's an open house and it's a buyer, I want these things to trigger. And there's 14 touches within, that'd be 14 templates within this particular smart campaign. And you can also set it up to always run whenever this happens, or leave it as need be and have it as off.
So what do you mean by need be? You mean where you can manually assign it to a contact?
Right. So you can have these set up. So like if you're using the open house app, which is a pretty slick deal because it automatically hashtags your contacts, you can actually say whenever these leads land, I want this to immediately hit. Or perhaps you've created a smart campaign for someone you met out at Starbucks or out to network with, and you add them in manually. You can go to your quick actions, add contact, and then you could say, well, for this particular person, I want to choose this particular campaign as a one-off because I'm adding them manually. So you have the ability to switch these out whenever you need to, depending on the circumstance of which you're presented or want to try to guide someone towards, right? Did that make sense?
Yeah. So
Okay.
you can manually assign campaigns, and you might not want them to obey the rules every time for that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obeying rules all the time is kind of boring, right? Anyway. No. So you kind of get the idea that you can build these entities and then all of these different triggers within, which is pretty neat. Now, to build a campaign such as this seller drip campaign here, you can see that the user has actually fleshed out his day 1. His day 2 is an email call to action about a CMA. Day 3 is just a task for the agent themselves to make a follow-up call, no voicemail. And it goes on down the line to day 7. And when we get to day 8, we kind of have a hinge built in. You can hinge this one way or another depending on where that person might be in that process of being a contact with you. So you can see on these slides, they go from blue to gray to red. And this gray slide here is where it's kind of signifying, okay, this is where something can hinge depending on that person's status. So perhaps if they haven't responded to any communication and you change them from new lead to prospect, you can trigger a different smart campaign. Or if you change them because they've expressed interest in selling, you can change them from new lead to active lead and put them down a different path with a smart campaign. So you can create these different directions for folks. And then you can also work into the day 1 going forward into those 2 different branches. Are there any questions so far? I don't think there are, but I just want to double check. Doesn't look like
it's quiet for me. Yep.
All right, so let's speak to how the heck do we get these in here? It's really easy to do. On your dashboard, of course, you'll click on your marketing autopilot and then smart campaigns. And within, the first thing you do is you add the name of your campaign. So earlier, as an example, I just called one by my first name. And I started building in this Annalisa Seller Smart Campaign example. And we can see so far, I have a smart campaign for homeowners when they're a prospect seller, and it's going to go out through email so far. So I just have one touch built in so far. Now, if I wanted to create another campaign, I can just click this little green button here on the top right of my library. And this is where I can start defining how I want things to trigger. So this is where I could say, all right, well, whenever this campaign comes into me, the agent, or if I'm an admin and I can see, everything from the top down, do I want to have this encompass my whole company? Do I only want to share this campaign within an office or just me? So, that admin office manager perspective can be a little different on what you want to push out for your agents to for access. So in this case, I'm just building it for moi. So I'm just going to choose my name here. And I can say, well, whenever that lead is new that lands or is transferred to me or is moved to a specific hashtag, I want XYZ to happen. Or maybe I don't want anything to happen. But in case, go ahead.
I was going to say, show the advanced triggers too, because this is an important thing, especially for people who are ordering advertising through us.
Yes.
For example, we have Property Boost or our Facebook ads. You can dictate what happens to those specific leads by setting campaigns to be fired based on the sources coming in and hashtags coming in.
It's really pretty robust. You can say whenever a Facebook ad comes in, whenever something comes in from my personal sources or office website, depending on the sources you have set up within your dashboard, you can have these directed. So I can say whenever something comes into my agent website, I want to set up an advanced trigger that lead, wait, hold one second. Whenever that status is a new lead, I want something to trigger. And then you can start to, you hit next. And you need to verify what type of entity is it for? Is it for a buyer, seller, renter, vendor? You got a nosy agent, you're creating a recruiting drip, and you choose your type. Then you can name your details. So I'll just call this Annalisa Seller number 2 example. And then you can put in the description. And then you can say, well, do I want this to always hit or no? Do I want to lock this or not? So keep it private so no one can edit it or let it be out there. And then you can click next. And basically we're going from campaign logic to design for to set details. And if you need to go back, you're like, oh, darn it, I missed a step. You can just click back on these little numbers, or you can click the back button here at the bottom left. So it's really easy to navigate. And then when you click next, it says, okay, now we need you to review this campaign to make sure all of the pieces are connecting like you think they should. And then you just add your campaign. And right now it has my name of Annalisa, and we're gonna have to refresh this to get that other campaign to go in. So I can either word search it, or I can go up here to my tab, right click and click reload.
Yeah, that search is very handy, especially for the system campaigns.
Yes.
You can find stuff pretty easy there.
Yep. So now we can see all of the campaigns of which are in my system. And I can either go down here to the bottom right and use my little 1, 2, previous, next to see everything, or I can just use my little keyword search here within my library and see those 2 campaigns. Now, within these campaigns, like if we open up the Seller Smart campaign example here, now we need to start building the body of the communication within the campaign, and that speaks to using those templates. So at the top here, we've got this campaign library, top left, and templates. And you can actually build templates to land within, and then you can add them right here.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of the first time I did this in kvCORE, my brain kind of got a
Yeah,
little confused. So I'm
me
going to
too.
just address it to people. Kind of the way to think about it is you want to build your templates first and then attach them to the campaign. So
Right.
it's almost like when you go back to those slides you had, Annalise, it's almost like it makes sense to go build a template for each of the slides
Yep. And that's
and then go
exactly
into the.
why it's great to visualize it this way.
Yep.
Now, when you're building these in, excuse me, you can actually click this template area at the top. And all of the templates of which you have cloned that are email or text message oriented, calls, tasks, webhooks, of which Ryan will speak to soon, you know, these are all going to land here for you to draw from and add into a campaign. Or you can click up at this upper right and say, I want to actually add my own call to action. So we can go back to this seller drip and we can say, you know, day 4, I'm sending an email. So I'm just going to grab this information and it's saying, hey, you know, a hi lead name, and it's going to be using a merge tag, and I'll show you how those work. I just wanted to send you a quick market update since checking your home value on my site. And then there's a link to their market update of which the user hyperlinked in. Now, when you take this, you can say, okay, I want to add an email template. And I want to name this, I'm just going to call this Annalisa Seller Day 4 email, because you want to name it something of which when you're eyeballing it, you're like, oh, I know exactly where that needs to land. And then, of course, if you're an admin, you may have those different scopes of which to share that information. So I'm just going to keep it to my own self right there.
So big
And
point there. Sorry, but
yes,
if
no,
you are an
sorry,
admin, you can design stuff for everybody on your team to use. Is the long and short of
correct.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what might actually, you know, what would be a neat, a very thoughtful thing to do is if you had a great idea for a smart campaign and you could actually flesh it out on one of these docs and send it to your admin to add into the system. And maybe they would work with you on, you know, getting that to add in so it would blanket down to all users within your team. So then you drop in your subject. So this is all about quick market update. So we'll just call this a quick market, your quick market update. And then I'm just going to drop my information in here. So saying, you know, and I'm going to get rid of course, the email section. But this little guy right here, this is your merge tag section. So whenever you drop in something that has that little bracket and then a couple of words like lead name, agent first name, agent last name, domain, etc., you're going to be pulling content directly out of your smart CRM, out of your database, and it's going to load directly into the email here and pull personalized information and content. Now, if you want to see an entire list of all of the merge tags, you just click this little sunshine looking icon here. It says insert merge tag. And then you can say, all right, well, I also want to add in the lead's first name, last name, full name, primary phone. I want to add in my information. Maybe I want to add in my lender's contact information or my office. So you have all of those different types of segments of which you can just drop in here instead of having to type it out into your smart campaign, which is pretty handy.
I never saw that lender stuff before. That's really interesting. If you want to make financing
Yeah,
offers to buyers a few days in, you just say, you know, contact my lender. But if you have multiple lenders, you can just dynamically populate their site URL.
exactly. And this really works great if you've worked out a like a tandem messaging system with your lender of when this lead lands, okay, what are you doing? What am I doing? When are we meeting back up to meet to make sure we're both on the same page with this person? So it gives you a really good scope of contact. Just make sure you're both on the same page of that communication. And then last but not least, you can say, do I want to include my signature or not? And of course, I mean, I always would, but some people may not. And then from here, you can just click add template. And again, we're calling it Annalisa Seller Day 4 email. So now if I go back to this email tab across the top, I can just put in that keyword and I can see I have my welcome day 1 email and my seller day 4. So now I have these two components are ready to go within the smart campaign. I can go back to my campaign library look for my campaign, click on it, and now I can add in those different types of actions here. So now I can go to add action at the top right, and I know I need to add that day 4 email. So now I can go into this template, put in my keyword, choose my seller day 4 email, and I can say, oh, maybe I should double check this template. I can actually slide this little guy over to the right so it turns blue, and it'll show me exactly what's in that message. And I can kind of give it that once over again. And it shows, yes, it's going from the agent to the contact. Do I want it to run immediately? Yes, I do. And or if you don't, then you have other options like when do I want it to go? Minutes, hours, days. Go ahead.
Can we pause for a second?
Yes.
So we can do from agent to agent, right?
Yes, you well,
we
depending.
Okay.
I haven't seen agent to agent call to action. I've seen.
I was just wondering if we could send ourselves reminders. That's all.
You can with a task. Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So you've got these emails and texts that are pretty much an outgoing communication. You can think of them that way. And then on the internal side of the dashboard, you can build tasks in for yourself.
Great.
And from here, I am just going to go ahead and click add. Oop, give it a name. I'm just going to use the same name as my template. Oop, darn it anyway. Sorry, guys. All right, and then add. Now you can see I want these to run immediately. The welcome day 1, email to agent to contact. Immediately day 4, email going from the agent to the contact. And if I ever want to edit these, I can just click into edit and change it up if I want to. View the template, change it from running immediately to, a daytime, hour, etc. Now, what Ryan was speaking to is maybe I want to set up a task. So I can go to my templates and I can go to add template and choose a task template. And this is how you can build in a reminder to yourself. So it could be like Annalisa Seller task, call, no message. Maybe that's the information I want to send to myself. And then, if you're an admin, of course, you can choose your scope of access. And then, I usually use the same template name as my title. But you can change it up if you want. And this is where you can say, I just want you to call and not leave a message on day 3. And then you can assign it to the agent, or if you're an admin, you can choose who it may go to.
This is really big. I did an update about this. I think they recently added this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an admin or a team leader, you can actually say that you want the task to always be assigned to somebody specific on your team, even if the lead isn't assigned to them.
Mm-hmm.
What it'll do, it'll let that person see the lead and the task until they complete it, and then the lead will go out of their system. So if you have an ISA or an admin or something, it's really useful stuff. I'm starting to think about even contract to close type things where you might have a sequence that gets run through on the contact.
Right.
It becomes sort of a transaction manager.
All of those little elements that start to come together that you want to keep track of.
Yeah.
And then you just click add template, and we're going to build this task template in. And then we would go and grab the template because we added it in. So now we can double check for it. And right now, because I'm an email, it's saying, I'm like, hey, where's my task? So don't forget, each of these little tabs here show you what is specific to that particular type of communication. So I would need to click on task, search the name, and then I can see my seller day 3 task.
We have a question. Can you just edit one of these? The question was, how do they set the time? So you're not going to edit these. I mean, how do they set the time after added to campaign? And it's not actually here. It's in the campaign itself.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. So within this, you mean the daytime minutes?
Yeah, like how to set it for day 2.
Oh, so what you would do is when you're in the campaign, you choose the campaign that you're going to be editing and adding your templates to. So what you can say here is maybe I want this to go on day 4. I can click edit. And I can say, no, I don't want this to run immediately. I want this to go out in 4 days. Or I want this to go out within 5 minutes of this landing. Or I want this to go out within 2 hours of this action. So you can go and choose, like for your day's triggers, you know, on day 4, I want this to happen. So now we have an immediate call to action and then a day 4 seller email.
If anybody's ever used like marketing automation software, Infusionsoft or Marketo, and some of those other things, I mean, we've got it all here, in my opinion. And then some in some cases.
We do. It's really endless, the possibilities you can build into this. It's incredible. So now if I wanted to add the task, I could just go to add action, task. I can put in the name, oops, go right here and put in the name. And then I can add in Annalisa Seller day 3 task. And I'm just going to call it the same thing up here. And I can say, do I want to double check it? I'm good. I don't need to see that. Do I want it to run immediately? No, because I want this to land on day 3 as a reminder to myself. And then you click add, and it's supposed to add, but in a perfect world, it would do that. But right now, for some reason, it didn't update. So are there any questions so far about the differences of templates and smart campaigns and how those components kind of come up together?
Yeah, I think that was a really good basic run through. And
Okay.
I think one thing we kind of went fast on was
Yeah.
the actual triggering.
Oh,
when
yes.
campaigns are triggered. And I just kind of want to remind everybody that you can have separate campaigns that run at every stage in the sales funnel. So
right.
Specific lead sources for different statuses in the smart CRM. So if somebody moves from, I can't remember what they're called, but new lead to say,
from like new to active to client to what have you. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what, oops, sorry. That's why they built these different types of campaigns in for you, so you can get an idea of, do I want this to go to my sphere? And you can actually look at these to kind of see how we have thought of items that may need to go to a sphere, because it's more of a lighter touch, but you still want to keep that marketing in front of them, still build that relationship, still keep that referral train going. So you can actually look at all of these different types for the prospect, new lead seller, new lead buyer, and so forth. And you can scroll through these just by using these little numbers here across the bottom of the core library. And then you can also look for the components within and add them to your own smart campaigns with those templates.
So we had a question just about how to, can I start a seller campaign for a contact I get through a seller squeeze page on Facebook? Do you just kind of want to show what that might look like? And I assume it's not like a native trigger. It's just you're going to do it based on the source or the hashtag, right?
Well, normally people do that with a hashtag. So you could click add campaign, because those hashtags, I love them. So you could say my campaign scope, of course, is to me and only me. It's all mine. Or if you're an admin, share with everyone if you'd like. And then you can say whenever something comes in with a hashtag attached to it, such as sellers in Warwick, I want these things to happen. So then you can say whenever this field has this hashtag, yeah, I want these things to happen. And then it's for a seller or buyer, what have you. And then you can keep on going in, name your campaign.
Yep. So the quick answer is when you create your seller squeeze page, be mindful of what hashtag you used or source you used. And then from there, trigger the campaign based on that.
And the cool thing about those hashtags is you can reuse them again and again and again. So it's not like once you've used hashtag seller Warwick, you can never use it again. You can continually use that to build up your smart CRM lists and your hashtag lists, so you can leverage them on mass communications, scheduled mass emails, etc.
Okay.
All right. So one last thing I just want to go through is just to speak to, always consider who that audience is. Keep in mind that similar to contact statuses, smart campaigns can be leveraged to do that, stop down that transaction line. So you can kind of think of the starting point and what your end goal is and where you want to try to direct these people, which is, of course, to either give their keys to their house to someone else or give them keys to a house or both. So you can design these for anything from first-time homebuyers to your sphere of influence to nosy agents you might want to put on a recruiting drip or maybe network and send new listings and so forth. There is a link to the complete guide to smart campaigns here and also a video link here about customizing your smart campaign.
Cool.
All right, so Ryan, over to you, sir.
Yeah, pop it over here and I'll.
Yep. Let me grab that. I'd moved.
Good job, though. It seems we didn't get a lot of questions, so to me that just means that you were very clear in your explanation. So good job.
Thank you. Oh, I'm trying. Let's see here. Well, where am I? Where you change presenter. All right, over to you, Hartman.
All righty. All right, so we're in the dashboard here. I'll be quick and I'll let you guys go, but I just want to share a couple of additional things. One is with respect to the content that you're adding to campaigns. And I wanted to share one little hack, and that is the sort of dynamic squeeze link hack, where you would add a property search of the week to an existing drip campaign and do it into infinity. So what I'm talking about is somebody comes in as a buyer lead, and maybe on day one you just send them a link to get pre-qualified with your lender. On day two, you ask them a quick question about whether they're an investor or a first-time home buyer. And you kind of go through that. Maybe you have a day 3 or 4 where you send them a video recording of your recent first-time home buyer webinar, those kind of things. And as you move further out into the drip campaigns, you want to keep the content sort of fresh and interesting. And at that point, you can start to use squeeze links, right? So you could do, say, on day 7, you could send a link to all the fixer-uppers. And day 14, you can send a link to all of the new constructions. Now, the cool thing is that because the big takeaway is that because these links to property searches always show the latest listings, they don't change, right? So you could create the link now, and it'll always take people, in this case, to all of the multifamily properties in a specific area. So does that make sense, Annalisa?
Yeah, that's the thing about these links is they don't die until you're no longer perhaps using that website. So this is something that whether they click on it on your media when it's the day of, 2 days later, a week, a month, a year later, it's still going to pull the most up-to-date content from your MLS we can possibly pull to supply that up-to-date content to your contacts out there.
Right. So what you could do is you can go into the templates then, because this is the biggest question we ask, like, what should I send for drip campaigns? And to me, the most interesting content is listings, segments of listings. So I can go add a template, email, could be a text too, and we'll just do new construction, St. Pete, Florida. I'm just going to give you some example copy.
Oh, it's good stuff.
New construction, property search of the week, and you can send this every day. You can do a property search of the day if you want. Just send them a new interesting search. Hi, here's a look. Hi, me again. Right? You can keep this going. Hi, me again, with another interesting property search from. And then remember, we can dynamically merge in the website. Okay. Today's link is property link to check out is, and you would just paste in link. So you could build out a year or two just doing this. There's so many different variations if you just search on your site for different listings.
And it's also handy if maybe you're speaking to people who are kind of looking at reduced properties, or maybe they're a little iffy. You can pepper these in with, hey, credit repair information here so you get a hold of, or do you know if you qualify for this down payment assistance grant? And you can send them to perhaps information on your blog to learn about those opportunities. So it keeps them all going back to you and your contact information and your website to continually pepper them with your smiling face and your information and your brand.
Yeah. So what I was doing while we were talking, I'm just giving a few other examples
Yeah.
here, and we're going to be doing a course about follow-up and getting people to talk to you, and this will probably be included in some of that content in the learning portal. But you can ask people like your fan page. You can, most recent recorded webinar, so you can send recorded, and this doesn't need to be a live webinar you do. You can just record a video and call it a webinar.
Right.
You say, hi, here's the latest, here's a recording of our latest first time buyers webinar. So yep, send them to blog posts, send them to videos,
custom pages,
social channels,
manual listings.
Yeah, and dynamic squeeze links, and you can build out very interesting campaigns there. So.
And it's kind of whittling it down to like always thinking of the WIFM for that person, like what's in it for them when they read this? What am I supplying to them that may hit their interest and bring them back to me continually?
Cause an endorphin release that's associated with your name. So.
A good endorphin release, not the fight or the flight, but the interest.
Yeah. So, you send them a list of all the high-end homes in the neighborhood. That's kind of something fun.
Right.
And they start to attach you like, Pavlovian type thing with some fun stuff.
Right. Let's go cannonball in that pool, right? Let's go cannonball.
Yeah. So that's that one content-based suggestion.
Oh, I know one thing I forgot to mention. If you click into the text template, or like create a text template.
Text messages?
Yeah, to add template and then SMS. There are merge tags to add in here, and to add the merge tag in that bottom section, you use your shift and then the bracket. And that's what's going to manifest all of the merge tags for the texting section.
All right, note to devs. I'm going to forward in this recording. Note to devs, please put a note about how to do this right under this box. So,
yes.
If you use tags, hit shift bracket. Okay.
Right. And I do have that outlined on the sheet. I just wanted to make sure we had that visual to match as well.
How did you ever figure that out? You must have asked somebody.
I mean, I have my ways.
All right. So good.
I know people.
So webhooks. This is really advanced, but I just want to touch on it here because it's part of this feature today. Webhooks are basically little messages that you can send to third-party applications. So if you've heard the term API, if you have a third-party software that you use and you want to make kvCORE talk to it as part of a drip campaign, you can fire these webhooks. So for example, I think I did a video a while ago. You could use webhooks to send your people to Facebook custom audiences. You could use them to send to an app like Sly Broadcast to leave an automated voicemail. You could use to send automated postcards in the mail through various services that are out there. So I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty, but I just want to show myself making a webhook and mention that usually the most common way you're going to do this is by using a webhook that's created at Zapier.com. So I'm going to jump into Zapier. I don't want to freak everybody out.
While you're doing that, I'm going to add the Zapier information to the sheet.
Yeah, so let's just say I'm going to use the Sly Broadcast example. I think we did a whole webinar on this actually, Annalisa, about a month or two ago.
We did, yeah. I'll be grabbing that, and there will be additional content and related information on the bottom of the doc of which we shared, and that's where you'll be able to find some additional classes that may speak and loop into what we're talking to here.
Yeah, we've got about 45 minutes on this, but the long and short of it is in Zapier, you can create this kind of webhook here to catch. And once you get this webhook, you can then create actions. You can then add a step that talks to other stuff. So I don't know. I'm going to see if I have Sly Broadcast, anything that Zapier plays with. So that's kind of like the quick. I'll reference that longer webinar for the nitty gritty on this. But what I can do now that I have that webhook, I can add a template, a webhook template. We'll call this Sly Broadcast. Put the URL in here. And the part that I wanted to show was that you can then start to add the data that kvCORE has on file to the end of the webhook. So if I wanted to add first name, I can just type any param I want to use, first name, and then select it. Do email, and so on. So for those of you on now, if you haven't mastered the rest of the system and you don't have campaigns going, this is extra. Don't sweat about this right now. Just put it in the back of your head that this stuff is possible, that you can make kvCORE talk to other applications and do things like send postcards, send voicemails, you know, through as part of campaigns through this webhook feature. All right. So I'm going to leave it at that. And then what I can do is I can say, so say I do want to send a voicemail 3 days after the person becomes a lead. I would then go into the campaign library again. I would go to my campaign. Let's let this load up. I'll just pick any random one here. So the open house is actually a good example. We could send a phone call through Slide Broadcast the next day and say, hey, you're at my open house. What's up? You know. So I could go add action, webhook, and I would select that Slide Broadcast webhook right there, and I would run it. You know, like we said, 1 day. Okay. So that's it, Annalisa. I just want to make sure we cover webhooks, that little bit about content hacks. And, you know, does anybody have any other questions about the Smart Campaigns feature? You guys are probably all about to go get busy.
They're like, okay, let us go. No. Go ahead.
I want to leave everyone with one last takeaway, because this is a little technical. Now, the cool thing is, I've been to a lot of real estate offices, right? And usually there's like that one guy or gal at the office who kind of gets this stuff. I think it would be very good, and everybody will make more money if somebody from the top of the organization, the admin or the team leader, takes some time, takes a whole week or two, and really builds out these campaigns for everybody to use. That's a final easy button away. Go get your admin to build this stuff for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, really, and if you do the work and supply them with these, I mean, all they have to do is cut and paste and drop them in. So if you do some designing and you present it, you know, you sell it to them, like this is how it's going to help our entire company because of XYZ, you know, they shouldn't have a problem helping you put this in there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we all know that, you know, systems run businesses, and really what we're talking about here is a way to build, to create and build systems in your business that keep you honest. We kind of, Annalisa, didn't even really show, but, you know, by adding tasks here to these campaigns, you're going to come in the morning and kvCORE is going to tell your team like what to do today.
Right.
Like, here's your task list, and it's all going to be assigned automatically based on where people are in the Smart CRM. It's really powerful.
Yep, it'll land, you know, on your summary at the top left for calls and tasks. You can also go into your dashboard and click on your activity and then calls and tasks to get an overall view of everything instead of just like a little tiny summary at the top. So you have a lot of ways you can go through it.
And it'll be in the app. And you know, if you're the person spending money on Google AdWords, for example, and you're routing leads to 5 people on your team, I think this is time well spent to go in and make sure that you have really good task and email follow-up protocols built for everybody getting those leads. So. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I haven't seen anything else come through on questions. Going once, everybody. Any questions?
Cool.
All right.
Well, I know that you were a little tired coming in today, but I want to thank you for doing such a good job. Yeah. So thank you. You did it. You did a great job. I think everybody else appreciated it. Everybody give Annalisa some love, and we'll see you. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll do a marketplace webinar, usually on Wednesdays at 2.
Right.
We touch upon something that's in the marketplace. I'm not sure yet what it is tomorrow, but if you can join us for that,
it'll be exciting, whatever it is.
Yeah. And then the webinars the replays are always at insiderealestate.com/webinars.
All right, everybody. And also please give Ryan a hand as well, because it's, you know, we're a really good team, I think, and we work well together. So, all right, everyone, have a great day. We'll go ahead and get this posted into the groups, emailed out, sent out by carrier pigeon and possibly Pony Express, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
All right, later, guys.